Good day, everyone. This is Attorney Don Green in Las Vegas. Many of you know me from the gun shows here in Las Vegas or in my practice in Nevada and California, focusing principally on firearms-related issues, arrests when you're having possession of firearms, firearms litigation, opinion letters, and working with the ATF and FBI in either surrendering weapons, surrendering force reset triggers, which is a subject of another show coming up. But today's show is going to be very, very intense and focusing on a very timely issue on pneumatic guns. And today I have the pleasure of having Miss Maggie Mordaunt as a renowned expert in self-defense and firearms issues. Maggie, please introduce yourself.
I'm Maggie Mordaunt with Homeland Personal Protection and the Women's Defense Network located here in the state of Nevada.
Okay, thank you. One prime issue which has come up lately is the subject of pneumatic guns. And I just heard a commercial today about things being legal in all 50 states. We want to make it clear for the citizens and weapons owners in the state of Nevada. And when we have the first slide, please. Pneumatic weapons in Nevada require a concealed weapon permit for concealed carry because by definition they are weapons, dangerous weapons. If it expels a projectile by the use of some force through a barrel, it is a firearm by Nevada statute. If we can look at the next slide, please. Let's talk about this. Maggie, we have kids that are playing with BB guns, maybe airsoft type weapons or pneumatic pistols. Tell us about what the law is in Nevada regarding where these kids might be able to play.
They can actually take these firearms. They can take them to a gun range if they actually have outside of city limits. They can go to the desert region areas if they wanted to go out there. Just know that they are still tools that can be used to injure someone. If that goes into some soft tissue, can be lodged into the brain, causing all sorts of neurological damage. It could even cause death. So they need to treat these firearms as if they were real firearms.
Thank you. Now, you would say that perhaps this might be a good training tool?
It could be a good training tool to show them how to learn safety, how to manipulate a handgun. They even come in rifle styles, so teaching them how to keep those firearms pointed in a generally safe direction, knowing that these are still considered something that could injure someone. So not shooting at each other is really important because it's very different than that of a water gun or let's say a soft sponge type of little firearm that they have out there that is spring assisted, but it's got a little sponge that it actually does shoot out. Okay. So it's very different.
Thank you. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, in Nevada, you don't have to actually look at the statute, but it's Nevada Revised Statute 202.265, which specifically says that BB guns and pneumatic guns are firearms under Nevada law, and you cannot carry those weapons without a CCW. Now, Maggie, you hear these commercials all the time. You see these weapons being sold at gun shows. We can't go and tell people because I'm not a policeman. I don't go and tell people that's illegal. They've got to come to me and I give them my opinion. But have you ever had a situation in which someone used a pneumatic gun in self-defense?
There have been cases where someone felt that it might be a less than lethal tool, but under that law, knowing that it is something that you have to have a concealed carry weapons license to conceal carry on the body, it is something that if someone says, well, I don't want to kill anybody, well, the goal is not to kill somebody. The goal is to stop them from continuing to present that lethal threat to you or someone else. Now, there have been cases where the criminal did get a hold of one of these because they didn't have to do a background check to buy it. You have felons that are going out and buying these guns that look like a real firearm. And unfortunately, I kind of feel like that law needs to change. That if it is considered a firearm in the state of Nevada, then maybe you need to have a background check before you can go buy it. I don't think felons should be walking around being able to buy something like this that looks like a real firearm. I think some laws need to be put in place for that.
Now, the law of self-defense in Nevada is that if you perceive, great bodily injury or death to you, your family, an immediate situation. And when someone draws this airsoft type pistol, this pneumatic gun, in my training, what I tell people is you address the threat. It's not whether you're going to kill somebody or use less lethal. Maybe it's a moral issue with which you'll have to deal. But what would you tell your students about the use of a pneumatic firearm instead of a traditional firearm?
I personally don't teach with that sort of tool. For me personally, I'm a real firearms instructor. It's not something that I've dove into. I think that my wheelhouse is real guns. If my student decided that they wanted to use something like that, they have to be prepared for the response from the aggressor once they realize this is not a real gun. The criminal mindset has changed quite a bit over the years. You have criminals who are not so afraid of guns these days. They may have the psychological mindset that they're just going to go for it, hoping that you're not really good with guns, even trying to potentially disarm you. That lag time in using a tool, not knowing when you need to use it, or maybe freezing in that fight or flight moment, not using that proper tool or the tool that you've chosen to use, that force equalizer you've chosen to use, if it's not a real gun, be prepared for what the response might be from that potential attacker. Also know that the stopping power or the ability for this to affect the neurological and vascular system does not compare to a real firearm. Understanding that the use of force, even to defend someone else under NRS 202.265, in that law it says that we can protect other people even if they are not someone we even know. It's not just loved ones or friends that we can protect, but also understanding what you might be getting yourself into when you actually are exercising that law.
Okay. When we have a situation of self-defense, and when you're teaching your students, do you teach your students to go home and put on their holster, get their jacket or their shirt, and practice the movements which you need? Do you think that this vehicle, that this airsoft type weapon with its physical characteristics, looking or feeling like a regular firearm, would you consider that as a training tool for somebody to use at home?
It is a good potential training tool, just because it is not a firearm that actually has ammunition that's considered to be real ammunition that you would use to stop a threat. I think that any sort of tool that way, even a plastic inert form, could be something great to practice deploying a handgun from a holster. And so we call that dry practice because we're technically not shooting anything. Even with this pneumatic, you have the potential to shoot something out of it. So there is that kind of yes or no, and it's for me personally, I think it's go to the range as much as possible, at least once a month, to really practice with your real firearm. And if you're not looking to invest in a pneumatic firearm, then practice with your own gun, just making sure there's no live ammunition in the area, making sure that you give yourself at least an hour after practicing that dry practice before you do load that gun.
Would you recommend someone carry a pneumatic pistol and a real pistol?
I would not.
Why?
I don't recommend that at all, because now you're putting yourself in a position where you could potentially draw the wrong firearm, just like in the case with the law enforcement agent who went into that room and or drew from her holster. I believe it was a woman who did that.
Yes.
She thought she was going for her taser, but really went for her live gun, causing death to that individual. So there is that area where you could get confused as to what you are drawing. Is there ability to practice that sort of thing? It really depends on if you are an armed professional, if that's something you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, because that takes a lot of practice to develop some level of understanding of those automated learned responses and being able to apply that in your day-to-day job. So the plausibility principle says that, well, if you might be in a situation where you could use a tool like that firearm, it's really up to the individual and it's subjective to that person taking it serious and getting in that training along with that practice consistently.
Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to call us. You'll see our contact information at the bottom of the screen. Again, this is Don Green, and I want to thank Maggie Mordaunt. Thank you so much for coming to this show and with your valuable time and your expertise. We'll be back with another segment very shortly. Thank you. Don Green signing off.